Should Trent Alexander-Arnold be considered a Liverpool legend if he leaves for Real Madrid? Well, let's dive straight in. Here we go. Now, first off, everyone seems to have an opinion on this. So if you've got one, leave yours below in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, do all that kind of nonsense if you see fit to give me that little boost of serotonin when the subscriber count goes up by 1. So, as we all know, the contract saga at Liverpool, especially concerning Trent Alexander-Arnold, has gone up several notches this week after Real Madrid tapped Liverpool on the shoulder and inquired about the possibility of signing the right-back in the January transfer window. Of course, the answer was no, but this did nothing but fan the flames as the rumour mill went into overdrive on social media. But of course, it's important to remember that social media and real life are vastly different things. When Trent stepped out against West Ham, there were no rumblings of disquiet from the away end, and Trent got to send his own rebuttal to the online criticism when he scored a goal in the 5-0 victory. So the question in this video is, if Trent ends up running down his contract till the end of the season, leaving on a free, should he be remembered fondly as a Liverpool legend? Now, I'm going to argue that yes, he should. He was a key member of that team that won the league for the first time in 3 decades and could go on to win a second Premier League title this season. In my eyes, every member of that 2019-2020 squad should be remembered fondly as part of the team that finally brought the league title back to Anfield after such a long wait. So how has it even got to this stage? Well, the club has got to look to itself here and acknowledge the massive blunder in allowing themselves to get into a position where talk surrounding Liverpool isn't revolving around the stellar start to Arne Slot's reign as manager, but is all about the contracts of Salah, Van Dijk and Alexander-Arnold. To allow this to happen to one superstar player, now it might be regarded as misfortune. To allow it to happen to 3 is carelessness. And you won't get other Liverpool YouTube channels paraphrasing Oscar Wilde, I can guarantee you that. Of course, Michael Edwards left his role as sporting director in the summer of 2022, which was followed by a chain of different people in different roles trying to do a similar job. And then, of course, Jurgen Klopp announced he was leaving the club in January 2024. So, okay, there were difficult circumstances in keeping continuity, but some things just should have been taken care of. The contracts of Salah and Van Dijk, now they're probably looked at a little differently due to their age, even if they're both performing at the very highest level, and in my opinion playing the best football of their careers. However, Trent is slightly different due to his age, as he's probably about to enter the peak years of his career, and he's certainly at the point where his earning potential is at its highest, meaning that whatever contract he signs next could be his last opportunity as a professional footballer to earn the maximum amount in his career. Now, does this mean that he's greedy or money motivated? Well, this has been one of the accusations thrown at him, which I think is a bit unfair, especially considering that we don't really know the potential amounts on offer from Liverpool or Real Madrid, although it's probably fair to say that as a free transfer, it is realistic to suggest that whatever he can earn in Spain will be higher, along with a high signing-on fee. Now, as someone who obviously doesn't earn anything like the amount of money that we hear that footballers earn, it's difficult for me to comprehend these discussions. But I think it's fair to say that if I could earn, say, £10 million instead of £5 million, at the very least, it'd be worth a conversation. And I doubt there's many people out there who think any different than that. Yeah, we like people to show loyalty to the club, but their first priority should be loyalty to themselves and to the family, which is exactly the same as you or I. And if you're saying anything different, then you're a liar or you're in a very small minority. Remember, the club will see every single player as an asset. And the day that asset is no longer useful or has no financial benefit to them, they will get rid. So this supposed loyalty, it should be working both ways. And Trent, well, he might have grown up as a Liverpool supporter, but right now he isn't. He's a professional footballer who has to look after himself. So he's coming at it from a very different perspective than us, the fans. Now, it's our dream to play for Liverpool, but if we did get there, I mean, it's unrealistic that a new set of goals wouldn't appear somewhere down the line, even if that just means that we would want to get paid what we believe that we're worth. Now, there's echoes here of a messy situation with another homegrown hero, when Steven Gerrard famously handed in a transfer request in July 2005, just 6 weeks after lifting the Champions League trophy in Istanbul. Now, he'd had his head turned a year early by Chelsea, and after Liverpool was slow in offering him a new contract as it entered into its final 2 years, Steven Gerrard took that as a sign that the club favoured selling him. Now, Chelsea would have their £36 million bid rejected and the situation became dark and messy with a mini backlash against Gerrard, including the performative burning of the shirt ritual that TV news producers would goad fans into doing before social media was the go-to outlet of fans' frustrations. So, just like Steven Gerrard had two options of Liverpool and Chelsea back in 2005, Trent seemingly has Liverpool and Real Madrid to choose from as his playing destination next season. Now, with all of the chatter and speculation that's been filling column inches on social media over the past week, it should be remembered that there's been no real movements from Alexander-Arnold to publicly suggest a desire to leave, with the club also hoping that a compromise can be reached. Some people, including Jamie Carragher, have indicated that Real might have had the go-ahead from Trent and his inner circle to inquire about his availability on New Year's Eve, but I really don't see this as being the case. Real, well, they would have known that there would be little chance of Liverpool offloading such an important player while entering a race for the league title, as well as every other trophy available to them. And in exchange for what? It would just be a tiny amount of the right-back's worth. So why did they do it? Well, they've very much got previous when it comes to aggressively courting players. Now, it was either them chancing their arm with an unrealistic approach or a pretty disrespectful attempt at unsettling their target player. Now, they've done it before, of course, many times, including fairly recently when then boss Zinedine Zidane made public comments about Kylian Mbappe. The reports in Spanish newspapers such as Marca are all designed to unsettle the player, put Liverpool on a weaker foot for negotiations and rattle the Reds fan base, which it certainly has online at least. Now, some of the comments directed at Alexander-Arnold on social media have been just awful, with more examples of how people behave online and the language they are compelled to use when sitting behind the safety of their own phones. Now, none of these people would dare to use the same rhetoric if they somehow met the player in real life. They'd melt into themselves, or more likely, they'd pose for a selfie and never utter the words without the movements from the bravest of thumbs. So, what next? Well, it's difficult to say, but if there's one accusation that can't be levelled at Trent, or indeed Mo Salah and Virgil van Dijk, is that they've downed tools during this period of uncertainty. All three are playing to an incredibly high standard and 100% committed as Liverpool continue in the hunt for 4 trophies. Now, as long as all three of them continue in this fashion, then that's all we as supporters can ask for. I mean, we don't know what's being offered to them behind the scenes, and we can't demand that these players sign whatever contract is put in front of them, all in the name of some supposed loyalty. However, it would be beneficial to everyone, the Liverpool fans, team and the players themselves, if these contracts were sorted either way as soon as possible. Now, there's plenty of examples of a player's future being elsewhere while still playing out the rest of the season. Indeed, Ian Rush played an entire season for Liverpool on loan before officially joining Juventus in 1987, and no one questioned his loyalty or called him out for being greedy, moving to what was then the richest league in world football. So why should Trent Alexander-Arnold be any different? He seems to be having a different reaction from online fans than Virgil van Dijk and Mohamed Salah. Now, this might be down to both those players, especially Salah, expressing a desire to stay, even if that has been in somewhat of a gentle fashion. But make no mistake, if those two players aren't offered a contract that they deem acceptable, they will think nothing of finding someone else to play football next season, because that's what professional footballers do. And expecting them to stay at Liverpool for their entire careers until the club decides otherwise is childish and unrealistic. I think the outcome will probably be that Trent moves on at the end of the season. Now, I'd love for us to get a massive fee for him. I mean, I'd love for him to stay, but I'd love for us to get a massive fee for him to enable the squad to be strengthened, much like the Coutinho sale enabled Klopp's team to really challenge for titles. But that's a failure of Liverpool SC, not to come to an agreement with the player 18 months ago or to decide to sell him. Now, you can question the loyalty or the motivations of the player, but Liverpool failed to be decisive, and that lack of a transfer fee would be entirely their fault. As I said, I'd be gutted if he left. In my opinion, he's the best and most effective passer of the ball we've ever seen at Anfield, and he's redefined how a fullback can creatively influence a game. His loss would be massive. For all the question marks about defensive frailties when an attack-minded fullback is in the side, he is key to how we break down sides that sit deep and play on the break. He can switch the ball out wide quickly to Gakpo or Diaz, for instance, or play Salah and Núñez in more directly in a way that nobody else can do from those deeper parts of the pitch. But the loss of any great player, it's got to be said, it's just not the end of the world. The club is here right now and will be here when these players are long gone. Now, I remember being heartbroken when Ian Rush left for Italy, But then we got the side featuring Barnes, Beardsley and Aldridge, one of the greatest teams to ever play the game. A generation earlier, Kevin Keegan left Anfield in his prime, and we got Kenny Dalglish. More recently, Luis Suarez tried to push through and move to Arsenal, of all teams. He had a U-turn and then played his best football for us, almost taking that Brendan Rodgers side to the Premier League title. Football heroes come and go, even if we feel a sense of betrayal at the time, because we invest so much emotional energy into these players and we feel that we know them and that they know us. However, if Liverpool do go on to win the Premier League and more this season, all three of Trent Alexander-Arnold, Mohamed Salah and Virgil van Dijk will have played a major part in this, and they should be thanked for their service and wished all the best if any of them decide to move on, as long as they handle those moves respectfully. Until that moment comes, they should all be given the vocal support online that they've received inside the stadium. I mean, if you can't handle that, then you're a child who deserves to support the club via Twitter rather than at Anfield. Now, do you agree with what I'm saying? Do you think I'm talking rubbish? Well, get involved. Have your say. Let me know in the comments. Up the Reds.